Hi everyone, welcome to Neurodiversity, Empowering Learning and Employment. This is a total collaboration between Cognassist and FE News. This is FE Reel 6, and this week we're going to be evidencing learner support and what's required. I'm Gavin O'Meara from FE News. I'm joined by Dr. Louise Karwowski. Lou, I wonder if you could help us with this. What counts as valid evidence for learner support?
Yeah, great question. So, of course, when we talk about learning support funding, evidence is a two-step process. So you have your initial assessment and evidence of learning needs, and you have to have a needs assessment as well to outline the impact of those needs on the completion and also reasonable adjustments that may be required for that learner to be able to complete their program. We've got a great case study actually on our website from one of our client partners, Skern, where the key to their success was showing a supportive journey throughout. So monthly evidencing of reasonable adjustments is really important as well. This is also evidence, and it needs to be implemented for all learners who require and are receiving support. So I suppose what I'm saying is consistency and confidence in your processes are what are critical to robust evidencing. Cognassist actually aims to provide critical information as part of that process. We offer enhanced reporting to support a needs assessment. And we always recommend that tutors conduct these directly with learners because, as we know, two learners may have the same diagnosis, but actually very different needs. So we can't just assume that, to offer blanket support, you need to be talking with learners on a case-by-case basis because that is true equity, which will get you results. Our assessment actually is performance-based, and it offers insight into cognitive differences and learning needs. And we have things like performance validity testing, which prevents gaming and prevents misuse and false results as well. Even if you don't use Cognassist, you need to be using some sort of screener to identify any needs that may be hidden. I was just talking yesterday with a client actually who was comparing numbers. She said she had 7 learners enroll this year with EHCPs, education and healthcare plans, and actually 200 have been identified in this year on our assessment. So that tells you how many learners' needs are hidden that need to be surfaced. I'm not saying all of them will require support, but that needs conversation will need to be had with those learners to determine whether they do.
That's really cool. If we was to think of this from an employer perspective on employment, because
Mm.
last week's reel was around looking at the law and Equalities Act. Week before we were looking at how do we be inclusive and the benefits of diverse teams. How can we evidence learner support, or how can we evidence as an employer perspective supporting your staff, particularly if you're maybe thinking of access to work requirements? What sort of things would you sort of take from education world that you could then maybe deliver in for employers?
Absolutely. Well, that conversation, the needs assessment conversation applies to the workplace as well. It needs to form parts of your recruitment process as well. So, good practice would be, as a matter of course, to ask if reasonable adjustments are required for all candidates as part of that process. And also when somebody starts, don't be afraid to have that conversation with a new employee as to what support they may have had in education that needs to be carried over to the workplace via access to work or via assistive technologies that already exist in your organisation.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you so much, Lou. So, thank you for joining us this week for Reel 6. Next week is Reel 7, Cognition and Neurodiversity and the Impacts in Education. So, thanks for joining this week. We will see you next week.